I never asked for rewards, especially not this kind. The planet Arvalis was a jewel in the Trade Alliance's latest conquest. Rich forests, glittering oceans, and species too wild to catalog. It was supposed to be another routine mission. Sweep in, subdue the resistance, collect the spoils. For my efforts in leading the final strike against the insurgents, the governor threw a grand ceremony. Cheers rang out. Banners fluttered. My team stood proudly as medals were pinned onto their uniforms. And then came the real reward. The governor's aide gestured to two guards dragging forward a figure. It stumbled, shackled at the ankles and wrists, with a thick metal collar blinking red around its neck. It was a woman, or at least she looked human enough. Smooth lavender skin, silver hair tangled with dirt, glowing violet eyes. Tattered clothes barely held together by strips of vine and cloth. "She's yours," the aide announced with a grin. "One of their nobility. A personal pet to serve you." The crowd erupted into polite applause. I stood there stunned. A pet? Was this what we had become? Slavers of living beings? I saw the way she trembled, fighting the urge to bolt, chained and humiliated before hundreds of strangers. Rage boiled inside me, not at her but at them. I clenched my fists. I had to do something. That night, in the privacy of my quarters, the alien girl sat in a corner, her arms wrapped tightly around her knees. She flinched when I approached, wary, expecting more cruelty. I knelt down, keeping my movements slow. "What's your name?" I asked softly. She didn't answer. She only stared, huge eyes filled with a heartbreaking mixture of defiance and fear. My heart ached. I carefully reached out, showing her the small unlocking tool I'd hidden in my palm. "I'm not going to hurt you," I whispered. For a long moment, neither of us moved. Finally, she shifted just a little and tilted her head, the tiniest glimmer of hope in her expression. I slid the tool into the collar's lock. With a click, it popped open. The collar fell to the floor with a heavy clatter. She gasped, like the sudden freedom was too much to believe. And then, without warning, she lunged toward me. I froze, expecting an attack. But instead, she hugged me. Tightly, desperately, as if clinging to the first real kindness she'd seen in months. I held her back, stunned. This wasn't about ownership. This was about survival. About trust. Tears silently soaked into my jacket as she shook in my arms. From that moment, everything changed. I knew freeing her in secret was dangerous. Technically, she was government property now. If they found her uncollared and roaming free, they'd assume I'd gone rogue. I couldn't let that happen. We had to escape Arvalis. The girl, who later told me her name was Saris, couldn't speak standard, but she was quick to learn gestures. She pointed to a map, tracing a route through the southern jungles to an old comms tower. If we could reach it, I could call for an unsanctioned evac ship. "We leave at nightfall," I told her. She nodded, fierce determination lighting up her eyes. For the first time, we were allies. Not master and slave, just two fugitives running for their lives. The jungle was brutal at night. Razor vine tore at our clothes. Insect swarms buzzed in clouds, so thick it was hard to breathe. Strange creatures howled in the distance, their cries setting my teeth on edge. Saris moved like she was born for this place. Silent, swift. She showed me how to smear sap on our skin to mask our scent, how to move through the thick underbrush without leaving tracks. I would have died in the first hour without her. At one point, we stumbled onto a patrol. Armed guards scanned the forest with flashlights, their drones buzzing overhead. We dove behind a massive root system. I could feel Sarah's breath hot against my neck, her body pressed tightly against mine as we waited. One guard passed, so close I could see the dirt on his boots. Sarah reached out, her fingers slipping into mine, squeezing lightly, "Stay still." My heart thundered in my chest. After what felt like an eternity, the guards moved on. We didn't stop to breathe. We just ran. Hours later, we finally saw it. The old comms tower, rising like a skeletal giant above the trees. It leaned slightly, battered by years of storms, but the signal array at the top still blinked faintly. We climbed, hand over hand, up rusted ladders and cracked platforms. At the top, I activated the emergency beacon. Now we just had to wait and pray the signal wasn't intercepted by the wrong people. Saris leaned against me, exhausted but smiling. In that moment, with the stars spinning overhead and the humid jungle stretching endlessly below us, I realized something. I wasn't saving her. She was saving me too. Saving me from the man I might have become. The man who would have accepted a living being as a prize without question. Saving me from losing what little humanity I had left. When the ship came, it was an alliance. It was a rogue merchant vessel, gritty, patched together, but fast. The captain took one look at Saris and then at me, and simply nodded. No questions asked. We boarded and didn't look back. As the ship rose through the atmosphere, our Valis shrinking behind us, Saris slipped her hand into mine again. This time, it wasn't fear. It was hope. We traveled for weeks, hopping from backwater worlds to hidden stations. Saris learned my language quickly. I learned snippets of hers, a musical, flowing tongue that sounded like water over stones. She laughed often now, something I never thought I'd hear when I first met her. One night, sitting on the edge of a ship's viewing deck, watching a nebula bloom across the stars, she turned to me and said something in her language I didn't understand. I frowned. What does that mean? She smiled, tucking a strand of her silver hair behind her ear. Then, slowly, carefully, in broken standard, she said, "Home. You are my home." I blinked, overwhelmed. I hadn't just freed her. She had freed me, too. In time, we built a life together, far from empires and conquests, far from chains and cruelty. Two lost souls who found something neither had dared hope for. Freedom, family, and something even rarer in the cold expanse of the galaxy. Love.